Do, 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 do. And good. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
There we go. That should be the right microphone. And good morning, everybody. I hope y'all are staying warm. I see Uncle Steve's with us this morning, and thanks to him, I am also staying warm. Oh my, y'all, this, whew, it works. And since it's 27 degrees outside, I hope you guys are taking care. Let the water run a little bit if you need to. Don't let the pipes freeze. This morning, we're talking about the robots, artificial intelligence. Are the robots going to come and take your jobs? Or are the machines coming to replace you? And the answer to that question is, yeah, that's what's going to happen. Absolutely. In very much the same way that the automobile replaced the horse and buggy, the locomotive, the locomotive expanded the logistics industry. It didn't so much displace. So, yes. Aaron Olson says, I would say there will be an attempt and the AI will be rejected. Nope. That's not what's going to happen. I mean, just like you guys went out and you bought your own Black Mirror and became your own panopticon, and I just showed you mine. I've got one right there. We're all guilty of it. It is what it is. So I had to get a little bit of the headline stuff out of the way so the algorithm makes sure that it comes back around. Now, that said, before we dig into the material, definitely want to say happy birthday to all my Marines out there. Hoorah. And I'm not sure if I called everybody yesterday. And today is Veterans Day. 11/11/11, baby. Okay, so all you old retired vets out there, today's your day, guys. Today is your day. Okay, so we try to go through this just a little bit every year for Memorial Day and Veterans Day, and it's important to understand the distinction, right? We appreciate it on Memorial Day when people say thank you for your service. We generally appreciate it anytime somebody says thank you for your service. But Memorial Day is for those of us that didn't make it back, or lived a long life and passed away, leaving behind a legacy of excellent service. Right? Memorial Day is not just about eulogizing the bloody mess that's left behind when an enemy marksmanship award is earned. And it's important to remember that on Memorial Day that we are memorializing, we are remembering our fallen comrades. But just like a funeral is important when a grandparent passes or a loved one, etc. That is a certain thing. That is a particular thing. When a wedding happens, a birthday, right? Veterans Day. That is about those that are still with us. That's about the people that you can still reach out for a handshake or a hug, right? To say thank you to those of us that are still sticking around, right? And I don't need people to say thank you for your service generally, except that I love to tell my little joke. Hey, my pleasure. I had a blast. And for those of you who know I'm deaf as a post for that reason, it should be amusing. It makes me chuckle a little bit because let me tell you something. For the veterans out there, I know they'll appreciate this, and some of you who are not veterans but have lived the rougher life, have worked the harder jobs and seen some shit in just the regular world. I mean, hey, I as an industrial electrician working in paper mills and chemical plants and oil refineries and shit when I was a kid before I joined the army. I saw some nasty bad ways to go out long before I was ever involved in an IED strike or indirect fire. So I know there's some of you guys out there that ain't never put any chest candy on a uniform that still have a little bit of something to deal with. And if we didn't have dark humor, whew, we might not all make it. Right? Dark humor is like food. Not everybody gets it. Now, some of us get it. And Pitt Danny said free meal at Golden Corral after 4 p.m. I'm gonna have to double check you on that, Pitt Danny. If that's true, that would be a break with their tradition. Because so I'm gonna look it up real quick. But usually Golden Corral does not do the Veterans Day meal on Veterans Day. And their reasoning, they do one, but they don't do it on Veterans Day. Usually they do it the day after or a couple days after. So I'm going to look that up real quick. And their reasoning is that since everybody else is doing it, that's an extra one that you can get. So let's see. Go to share this tab. For 25 years, Golden Corral served America's military heroes, honoring their bravery, sacrifice, and commitment to this Veterans Day. The Golden Corral Military Appreciation Night tradition continues, offering a heartfelt celebration with free thank you meals to active duty service members. Okay, so yeah, they're doing it today this year. That's different. They usually do it. They have previously done it on an off day. Yeah, they even say the yearly event, which takes place near Veterans Day, is a signal of togetherness. Excuse me. Okay, so that's cool. I hate to admit it, I'm gonna miss that one today probably because it's at least an hour's drive. It's at least an hour's drive to the nearest Golden Corral. Dad's asking me if I'm going to eat in Sandersville today. I'll give you a call about that after the show this morning, Dad. We're going to have to do it early-ish, and I'm not going to have a whole lot of time because I got to be in Milledgeville by 2. But I'll touch base with you after the show. I'm glad you asked so because I forgot. And so I had something come up. I'll talk to you after the show. Anyway, so there is let me get to this real quick. And then we'll get into the actual material I wanted to talk about today. Veterans Day 2025 freebies. So most of the time, you can find a list. So here's We Are the Mighty giving us a list. And they'll give you a list of the places that are doing the freebies for Veterans Day. God, that's hard to read. That's bright. Okay, let's do it like this. That's better. Okay, so IHOP's doing the red, white, and blueberry pancakes combo. Is free for veterans on Veterans Day this year. And that's a pretty good one. You have strawberries and blueberries with a strip of whipped cream over a couple of pancakes. And guys, okay. Pay attention, fat boys. That's 2 pancakes with sugary fruit on top. And 2 pancakes doesn't seem like a whole lot of food. But it's Veterans Day, And if you're out taking advantage of the opportunity, that's definitely enough, because there's going to be so much shit out there for free today that you get yourself in trouble if you try to go overboard. That said, that right there, that 2 pancakes with a strip of fruit and for breakfast, that is enough just on a general day, right? I know I'm one to talk, but you know, yeah. So, let's see. Be prepared to wait, especially during Veterans Day etiquette. Make sure your military ID or proof of service is easily accessible, obviously. Okay, let's see. There we go. Ooh, interesting. Verified non-food freebies. 7-Eleven, 5 cents off per gallon of fuel from October 28th. Holy shit. I wish I'd have known about, well, there's no 7-Eleven. I don't know where there's any 7-Elevens in Georgia. 9/11 Memorial Museum, that's Gold Star families, Blue Star families, active military retirees and veterans, free admission. Amtrak, 10% military discount. Apple Watch tracker, okay, whatever. Arizona State Parks, Army and Air Force exchange. Oh, that's interesting. I am not driving my ass to Augusta for a challenge coin. Akron Zoo, none of these appear to be in Georgia. Calvert Marine Cart. Okay. I was looking for the. What did I say about Monticello? Oh, got it. Do. Okay, that is a long list of stuff. So, in the event that that's going to be interesting to any of you guys, I'll just go ahead and drop the link to this one, because that's a lot to go through. I was more looking for. Okay, here we go. Here's the food stuff. Verified restaurant discounts. Applebee's. A free dine-in meal from a select menu. And so the select menus are usually like a small steak or a small piece of chicken, something like that. And that's good. I don't know. Aroma Joe's Bad Daddy's Burger Bar. Nope. Barbecue at Home Bar. Bigby Coffee. Biscuit Belly Blaze Pizza. Bob Evans. Ooh. Bombshells. Bonefish Grill. Free Bang Bang Shrimp. Holy shit. That's almost worth driving to the nearest. Oh, wait. No, it's not. That's 2 hours away to the nearest Bonefish Grill from me. But if there's a Bonefish Grill nearby you guys, free Bang Bang Shrimp, that's a winner right there. Brick House, 20% discount on dine-in meals for veterans. That's a good one. Caroline Casey's Chili's. Okay, there's probably a Chili's near you, free dine-in meal. Chipotle. Huh. Chipotle's giving away free burritos from 4 to 8. Maybe I will take advantage of that today. Oh, no, anyway. I've got a busy Veterans Day ahead of me because I'm getting a root canal at 2:00 this afternoon. That's the thing. Cracker Barrel, Connor's Steakhouse, Craft Republic, Dave & Buster's. Free entree and $10 power card. Nice. Denny's. Free original Grand Slam. That's not a bad deal. Dickey's, Dillon's, Eaton Park. Einstein Bros is giving away coffee with the purchase in store. That's good stuff. Famous Dave's, Firehouse Subs. I'm a big fan of Firehouse Subs. Free medium sub. Okay. There's we already covered Golden Corral. So anyway, I dropped the list in the description down there. I don't want to spend the whole show on my personal Piccadillys with, it seems like every year on Veterans Day, I end up too busy to to do the rounds anymore. There were a couple of years there that I went and did I'd have stuff to do, right? I'd get out, handle some contracts or give a couple of speeches here and there, but I'd make it a point to, hit one or two places for breakfast and a couple of places for lunch and a couple of places for dinner, and just kind of play with it and enjoy it. But I'm usually too busy to mess with it anymore. But yeah, Pitt Danny says Firehouse. Yeah, if I'm near one, I might take advantage of that myself. But Dad says you and I can go to Chili's. We'll like I said, Dad, I'll give you a call after the show and tell you what's going on. So let's get into this. Let's get into this. What I wanted to talk about this morning. This tab. So these are the top 10 emerging technologies of 2025, according to the World Economic Forum. Here's something amusing to note. This article is from Fast Company. This is an article about the report from the World Economic Forum. And I'll just show you real quick, because as much as I'm interested in what this has to say, here's my, kind of my notes from my research this morning with a link to the article from the World Economic Forum. And when we click on that link, the general public isn't allowed to see the report from the World Economic Forum. And I even tried to backdoor this with the archive.is site to get into it. And the World Economic Forum likes to hide shit. But the list that they have is actually quite interesting. It's stuff like advanced nuclear technology, with the Trump administration pledging to fast-track permits for nuclear projects. The WEF predicts that smaller nuclear designs and alternative cooling systems will offer safer, cleaner energy at a low cost. The Army, the military, the DOW is, I think we covered this almost a year ago, have been working with some what they call microreactors. And it's basically, a nuclear reactor that fits on an 18-wheeler on a tractor trailer, a Connex. And they're essentially disposable nuclear reactors. You install it, you run it for 10 years, and then you get it replaced. Sergeant Major, you are correct. The WEF are a bunch of one world government cronies. And that is in fact one of the reasons that I am particularly interested in paying attention, because my entire military career was about knowing what the enemy is thinking. And when they tell you what they're thinking, you should pay attention. In this case, kind of, however, and also, what they're looking at is part of the world, part of what's happening in technology generally. Whether they have a nefarious interest or motivation is kind of irrelevant it's kind of irrelevant. It's worth understanding that the big players involved in developing technology, they are, excuse me, they are involved in many cases, or at least directly or indirectly funded by people who are involved with the World Economic Forum. And that means that whether or not we agree with what the WEF is doing, or plans to do, we have to pay close attention to the actionable intelligence that they give us access to when we can get it, or that they don't give us access to. For example, in this case where I just showed you that they're blocking it behind, it's not even a paywall; it's some kind of security infrastructure. So the next piece, the structural battery composites. It says the weight of batteries has been a pain point for things like cars and planes and impacting their efficiency. I've talked about this many times before. I know Uncle Steve loves his Tesla, but part of the fact of the matter when you're talking about electric cars contemporaneously is they require these incredibly heavy battery packs that weigh significantly more than a full tank of gas. And that's whether or not the battery is at full charge. The weight doesn't change notably when the battery is fully charged. Those batteries are very heavy, and that is an important factor in how much energy it takes to move the vehicle. That's without even getting into the claims that you can't replace the cost of fossil fuel with modern batteries and alternative energy generation systems, right? Like, you put up a windmill farm and you have spent more in energy cost to erect the windmill farm than that farm can generate over the life of its production, right? So the weight of batteries is a big damn problem. Now, there are some things coming around with, right here, they're talking about structural batteries. New materials that store energy and support weight can make these vehicles lighter, improving both their performance and their environmental impact. Basically, what they're talking about here, new material products like graphene and the like are involved in this production. And they're talking essentially about getting rid of what you would think of as the battery altogether. And instead of having that big, heavy chunk of metal in your vehicle, the actual frame of the vehicle would be made out of battery material. It would simultaneously be the structural frame and the energy storage medium. So that could be an absolute game changer. That could be the thing that makes electric vehicles, instead of being a luxury item or a novelty, something that is actually just substantially more efficient and could displace, in a serious way, the kind of dyno gas trucks and cars that we're used to. That could be a big great thing, right? So forget about the environmental concerns and all that stuff for a minute. What if we find ourselves in a world where energy is produced almost entirely by fossil fuel, right? But only at the plant level, right? So you basically oils being used for lubricants, okay, different types of grease and whatnot, but actual like gasoline, diesel, etc., are only being burned in electrical plants to generate electricity, which is then moved more efficiently, and everything that you deal with as just a regular civilian, whether it's running your household, powering the lights in the studio, charging up the battery in your car, like, hey, I gotta plug the frame in, right? That could be a massive improvement in a lot of different areas. I mean, you've got fewer tanker trucks on the highway. That's a big positive, right? You've got fewer points of impact where the trucks and trains carrying crude and refined fuel have to get to, right? Lower the number of fail points along logistics lines. All of that stuff could be very positive. It really could. Now, that said, as we move forward, this collaborative sensing thing, this is something. This is talking about AI models communicating with one another at pretty high levels and pretty and okay. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the navigation app Waze, right? Part of what Waze does, I'm not a big fan of Waze personally. I'm used to the Apple Maps software and user interface. Plus, it integrates well with my truck. So, but I've used Waze in the past, and Waze relies on crowdsourced data to theoretically optimize routes. Now, there have been some problems with that in the past. There have been some kind of rigging campaigns where a bunch of people get on a different app to communicate the plan, and then go on Waze and falsely report something like a car accident or police activity or construction or something in order to in order to affect the way traffic moves. Now, thankfully, Waze was never adopted on such a large scale that these guys were able to pull those tricks with extreme effect, but they have had effects. So if you've got 10 or 20% of your population using that app for navigation, and it just takes a handful of people all simultaneously and incorrectly reporting an accident, a police a police checkpoint, whatever, then you can essentially control how traffic flows illegitimately. That is a major. That's a national security risk. That's not just something where there could be a serious inconvenience to people. That could be a legitimate national security risk, right? Are you kidding me? As a tactical and strategic planner, you're telling me that I can take away an enemy route by lying to them? Whoa. I don't have to put down a minefield. I don't have to pull on my thick gloves and pull out some concertina wire. I don't have to blow a bridge out. I could just lie. So that there's some serious national security implications in that. And given the idea of, just a bunch of integrated AI systems communicating on this, that I think there's a significant vulnerability that needs to be considered and discussed there. On the other hand, part of what that's leading toward is a kind of idealized utopian future where everybody's car is self-driving. And I'm kind of two minds on that. I like to drive. I like to take a long drive, listen to the radio, whatever. I ain't gonna lie, I wouldn't be mad about it though if at the end of a day, like yesterday, I drove 2 hours south, spent an hour and change working, linked up with my buddy Rod, hung out for an hour or two, and I would have rather just gone to bed than drive, make the 2 hour drive home after that. If I could have hit the go button and reclined my chair and gone to sleep until I pulled in the driveway, I am sufficiently self-aware to know that I just might sign that deal with the devil. That said, I do not like the idea of giving away liberty and control. Santa Steve says the self-driving winner will be fathers worrying about the 16-year-old texting while driving. No. Even, I mean, that's a good one. That's a good one. Picture this. Right? Young man shows up, knocks on the door. Nice young man, clean cut, respectable looking. I've even met him before. I know he's got a decent little job, right? And he's here to pick up my daughter. They're going out on a date, and I said, have her home by 10. Sure, you can borrow my car. Have her home by 10. What if I promise you that car is going to be in my driveway, in my garage at 10 o'clock? No ifs, ands, or buts. As in, whatever time it is when the AI in the car determines it's supposed to be home at 10, right? Like when I fly one of my drones, if I am 15% of battery needed away from returning to landing, then the drone will say, hey boss, it's time to come back. And it will automatically switch to automatic landing and fly back. And it'll give me a little warning on the screen that says, battery low, returning to home. And what it's done is it's calculated, if I turn back now, I have enough battery to get back with a little bit of extra just in case. And it does that. What if you decided that you and my daughter are going to hang out at that restaurant for just a little bit longer, and Chris isn't going to be too mad if we're 15 or 20 minutes late. You're right. Because at 10 o'clock when the car pulls in and you're not in it, I'm going to get in it and I'm going to come get you. And I don't even have to call you. The car knows where you were. Right? Yeah, meet George Fretson. Well played, Cade. Yeah, you're not back in the car when it's time to hit the road and head home. You're getting left behind. And oh no, Daddy in his pajamas and flip-flops and a bad mood is coming into the restaurant. Sir, I'm afraid we have a dress code here. You want to rephrase that for me, sweetheart? So that could be a hell of a lot of fun right there. And so there's several more items on here. I think the last one that I really want to talk about a little bit, generative watermarking. This one, okay. Free speech, sure. Make whatever you want. Great. Generative watermarking. I think I'm for it. And I don't think it is an unreasonable intrusion on free speech or privacy. And the reason I think I'm for it is it feels like a good mechanism. You can't fix it. You can't fix everything perfectly. There is no perfect answer. But we do have a problem that we're about to be staring down the barrel of. We've talked about deepfakes in the past. You guys have seen AI-generated videos that are just difficult to ignore. They're not perfect yet. There's almost always a bit of uncanny valley. Let me see if I can find some good examples to share with you real quick. This one's a little on the scary side. That's an AI-generated video. But it's a very, very short clip. This one,
it's June, Pride Month.
It's also Men's Mental Health Month.
But no better time than now to let your junk hang out at the parade.
Jackie joins us live at the Pride Fest.
We're here live at Identity Fest, where sausage parties meet Scissor Central.
Today, I'm a pan-dimensional soul fox identifying as a pansexual.
Stunning and brave. Back to you, Erica.
What a powerful way to honor Men's Mental Health Month by not mentioning men at all.
That's right, Erica. In other news, parents who don't give...
Okay, so that one right there, not the most convincing, but you can definitely see how that's heading in the wrong direction. This is obviously AI, but I mean, let's be real. The thing that makes this one obviously AI is doesn't look real. that she's not a very convincing character. It's that the situation itself is obviously unrealistic, right? So that's, we're heading in that direction. Well, what happens when... Oh, dear. Did they stick Justin Trudeau in the Matrix? Okay, see, that's obviously not real. And that's intensely bizarre. But again, what happens when what happens when it does get to a point that the uncanny valley does not easily shed light on what is and isn't AI? And one of the concerns that we've had, that we've discussed on the show, is many people have talked about, is the concern that there will be deep fakes, right? So you'll end up with a video of Donald Trump shooting people in broad daylight in downtown New York, and it will be visually indistinguishable from an actual video, and people freak out. That's a real possibility. Now that's an extreme example. What if it's just a video of a politician saying something that isn't even that far-fetched relative to their positions, right? Here, AOC, for example. AOC, totally pro-choice, right? She has said before that she's totally for abortion up to and including the time of birth. So what if somebody did an AI of AOC explaining, like Ralph Northam, about terminating a child after the child was born because the mother isn't mentally, physically, psychologically, or financially healthy enough to raise a child, right? See, so I'm not saying I think AOC is down for infanticide post-birth. I'm not saying that. But the point I'm making is that she has been vocally and officially pro-abortion up to and including the moment of birth, right? If you pull the head out and then shoot it right there before you pull the baby all the way out, she's good with that. That's true. So if an AI came out saying that she's okay if you go ahead and pull the baby all the way out, and then just, instead of trying to slap the snot plug out, you just drop it directly into a tub full of bleach, that's a claim that is inflammatory enough to be a serious problem for her politically, but believable enough, right? Just close enough to her actual previously stated positions that it becomes difficult to refute it on the grounds that she would never go that far. Sergeant Major says deepfake doesn't need to be good for low intelligence voters to believe what they want to believe. That's also true, and that makes this whole thing even more dangerous. But here's another one for you. And this is where I start to lean toward the watermark question. Right? But like I said, no perfect answers. What if we get a video that is legitimately damning? Right? What if we got a video of Bernie Sanders discussing his plan with his staff? Right? He's got his campaign staff. He's running for president, hypothetically. He's running for president in 2028. And we get a video of Bernie Sanders and his staff discussing how they're going to use abandoned high school buildings to build gulags to intern all of the previous Trump supporters in. All right. Okay. I use this example because that is something that was discussed by Bernie staffers, not Bernie Sanders. I'm not saying Bernie Sanders said that. He may or may not have, and we don't know, and there's no evidence. There's no evidence to that claim apart from the fact that his staffers were talking about that around the time of the baseball shooting, right? But that is something that his staffers were discussing. So what if suddenly there's a video leaked out of one of those meetings and we actually have Bernie Sanders in full swing, in full support of his staffers' idea of re-education camps and gulags? That video comes out, and Bernie's defense is, I would never say anything so crazy. That's crazy. That's radical. That's Nazi talk. I would never say Nazi talk. That was a deep fake. That video's not real. It's a deep fake. Now keep in mind, in this hypothetical, totally fantastical, almost entirely untethered from reality, hypothetical situation, the hypothetical is that Bernie did say it. It is a real video, but his defense is that video is a deep fake. I never said it. Well, if we can examine the metadata and determine the video was published the video was created after the technology and the law required AI-generated videos of all kind to contain a watermark, that might be a mechanism by which we can end run some of that, right? Because let me be honest with you, I am much more concerned that somebody will be able to deny true things, deny evidence of actual reality by arguing that the evidence of the reality was fabricated, rather than somebody fabricating evidence to make false claims, right? While you can't prove a negative, it is easier to disprove a false claim than it is to prove the negative truth quality of a supported claim, right? This is why in a court of law, the burden of proof does not lie with the defendant, right? When you are defending yourself in a criminal case, especially, the burden of proof is on the prosecutor. They have to prove you did the thing. You don't have to prove you didn't do the thing. In fact, what you have to prove as a defendant is that the evidence presented by the prosecutor is faulty, fallacious, flawed, or irrelevant, right? Because the claim the prosecutor makes is, you did a thing. And the claim you make is, I did not do a thing. You cannot prove a negative. You can only prove the impossibility of a positive claim. That's why alibis are so important, right? You murdered so-and-so. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. You murdered so-and-so in the billiard room with the revolver. Oh, no, I didn't. Yes, you did. And you did it on Tuesday the 11th at 8:15 in the morning. Oh, well, I definitely didn't do that. Well, you can't prove that because you can't prove a negative. Aha! I can prove that at 8:15 on Tuesday morning, on Tuesday the 11th, I was in my studio talking to dozens of random idiots on the internet who love me because I'm funny and fluffy, and was therefore nowhere near your fucking billiards room, right? So I can't prove that I didn't do it, but I can prove that I couldn't have done it. And that's an important distinction, right? And man, I was going to get into a whole thing about humanoid robots replacing things in the workplace. I think I'm going to save that. I'm going to save that for the next day or three. I basically did this show talking about this technology stuff today because I'm tired of talking about the shutdown stuff. And we're going to see some more news around the shutdown. Depending on how that develops, that'll either be the show tomorrow or Thursday. Excuse me. But yeah, I'm tired of talking about the shutdown stuff. I said everything that's worth saying about it yesterday until there are some more developments in that. So again, that'll probably be tomorrow or Thursday. And I wanted to talk about something less political. And I mean, everything is political in some regard because today in modernity, everything that happens in the world is related to the political machinations of those in certain positions. And we are at a time when political activity is the new war. Crackshot says the shutdown is over. Not quite. The Democrats, it looks like we had enough Democrats cave, but it's not quite over. And what it means for the shutdown to be over is not that the government, that all the problems are solved and we're back where we want to be either. That's a little more nuanced and complex. Crackshot, you should go watch yesterday morning's episode about that. I went into pretty substantial detail about what is going on, what the Democrats are demanding, and the particular way that they're lying. So the House, yeah, there you go, Pitt Danny. I was just about to say that the House votes on Thursday, and we'll see how that goes. And then even if everything passes through and the government reopens at the end of the week, it's only going to last till the end of January. And then we're going to go through this all over again. And the Democrats are going to grandstand, and they're going to try to hold a bunch of poor people hostage again. And that's how they do business. It just is what it is. So, I'm going to go ahead and put a button in it there. And maybe tomorrow or Thursday, whichever one, I don't have to cover changes in the political landscape for the shutdown. I'd like to come back and talk about the humanoid robots and all that stuff. And do me a favor, guys, leave a comment, not just in the chat this morning, but actually leave a comment on the video. Let me know if y'all are interested in this kind of stuff. If I'm just barking up the wrong tree talking about the AI stuff, I think I know the answer, but let me know if you're interested. And I mean, if I just get 37 people saying no, then maybe we just won't talk about robots anymore. But I don't think that's what I'm going to see. So yeah, leave us a comment down below and let me know if this kind of show is something that you're interested in doing again in the future. That said, thanks for watching this morning, you guys. We love you, and we will see you tomorrow.